Hey, what's going on, good people of YouTube? Blue Light Bandit here, and today's video is going to be about Gibson Les Paul standard cases. And are they created equal? And the answer to that is no, they're not. I don't claim to be a Gibson professional, expert, aficionado, anything to that effect. I just bought my very first Gibson the other day, or a few weeks ago. Had some tuning stabilities out of it, and it needed working on, so I'm sending it back. And Sweetwater sent me another one, instantly to replace it with, and that's how I've picked up on these differences in the cases. Okay, right off the bat, I noticed, this is what brought my attention to it, were the latches. I noticed the latches on my first case is a high polish and a thicker metal than the one that my replacement came in. Okay, these are a dull finish, and I can actually tell it's a thinner metal than what this is. So I noticed that right off the bat. The second thing that I noticed was the stitching was different. You can see the stitching on this one versus that. Does it matter? No, probably not, but it's just something I noticed. Second thing I noticed was this one is actually just made different. It's got stitching on the bottom, and where this overlaps, where this case, it doesn't. It just has the stitching on the lid. So that's a difference. The overall functionality, construction of it, I don't like. This one is not as smooth as the original one I got. This one is damn near flawless. It opens and closes perfectly. But this one, you have to mash down on a little bit, and then it creaks when you open it. Does that make a difference? Probably not. I'm just stating a fact here. And let's see. Seems like every time I look at it, I find something new. This one says this one was made in Canada. Okay, and right there's the tag saying it's made in Canada, and it has this TQL. And I just have realized that this one is made in China, and I didn't even realize that till I found this tag up in here. But it actually says made in China. Another difference is the lid on this closes much easier. This is damn near perfect. Where the one made in Canada, you have to mash down pretty hard to make it close. And all that's going to do is wear this out quicker. So another thing is the material is different. I doubt if you can see it on this camera, but the color is just a little different there. You can see it good there. The one made in China is a lot softer, more plush than the one made in Canada. The one made in Canada feels bad, okay? What I mean by bad is maybe old. Maybe like old wore out carpet, where the one made in China is just more plush, soft, luxurious type feeling. Okay. Another thing, and it seems like every time I open the one that's made in Canada, I keep finding a flaw. This right here was the first flaw that I saw within the liner. There's a sharp cut in the fabric right there, and it looks like it was a man-made cut, and they tried to glue it down and it didn't stick. they didn't give it enough time to stick, and then it folded over when they closed it or something, and now it's kind of matted up. So notice that. And let's see here. That's some leftover glue that's matted up. That's not good, man. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, this is the one made in Canada. You can see right here where the lining is coming unglued, and it has these marks, almost like tooling marks or something. Looks like where it's almost cut. And the one made in China doesn't have that, as you can see. Another thing that I noticed was the craftsmanship is just, the one made in Canada it sucks. Just point blank, you know, I mentioned that it doesn't open and close as easily. Well, and right here you can tell that the hardware is put on crooked. You can see this side's lower than that side, and the screws, whoever put these screws in, I'll try to get you a good shot of it right there. This top one is put in at an angle. So when they started that screw and it went in crooked, instead of backing it out and retrying, they just went with it and said screw it, more or less. And so now that's in there crooked. It's just little things like that that kind of add up. Those are most everything that I've noticed. And this isn't a big deal, but it's aggravating that when you close this case, the strap or the lid retaining strap gets caught outside every time, which I'm sure you can just make a crease in it and, you know, remedy that, but still, yeah, I mean, that's cheesy. Just the overall quality of the case made in Canada is not on par at all with the one made in China. I never thought in a million years that I would say that, but it is what it is. This right here is not a quality issue, it's just a difference I happen to notice, but the texture pattern of the case itself, if you'll compare it with this versus the one made in Canada, is just different. Does that matter? No. It's just different though. And I did not know that they were made in two different places. One made in China, one made in Canada. And like I said, I never thought I'd say this, but I prefer the one made in China. Well, there's another difference I just saw on the back of them. Let me see if I can get you a shot of it. Okay, this other difference that I saw on the back of it, or bottom of it, is both of these cases have a double neck support here and here. On the back of the one made in Canada, there is one screw going into it, where the one made in China has two screws on each support. And that's, you know, obviously better made. That is so surprising. And to give you an example, this right here is the latch on the one made in China on the back side. You can tell how well that works. It's just works like it's supposed to. Over this one, you have to mash down harder and pull up harder. It just does not, there's grinding involved. It's just not put together well at all. I never would have thought this. So there you go, folks. You've got two Gibson cases, one made in Canada, one made in China, And there's quite a bit of difference in between the two. And me personally, I go for the one made in China, and I never would have thought that in a million years, but it just goes to show, just, you know, the stereotype of things made in China is poor quality. But, you know, China can make good stuff if they want to. They're paid to make cheap things. I'm not standing up for China or anything. I'm just stating a fact. This is a better case than this one. I appreciate everything. Y'all have a great day.